I have this Seiko quartz chronograph and the operation is faulty. I've got this in the setting mode and you can see it's very staggered when trying to set the split seconds. I've checked and the price of the movement is very reasonable, and so it makes more sense to just replace the movement than to strip it down and start fault finding. So first of all we have to remove the crowns, and there's two crowns here. These are the push release type and you have to pull the crown out to the first position. Then use a fine pair of tweezers or fine screwdriver and press gently and the crown will be released. So here's the second crown, and this one you don't need to bring to the second position. Simply press gently and release. And now the movement can be removed from the case. I'm now putting the crown back into the movement so that I can align the hands to make them easier to remove. I'm protecting the dial with a plastic bag, and then I'm going to use my hand lifting levers to gently prise under the bag, and this will stop the dial from getting scratched. I'm keeping the hands on my bench in the same pattern that they would be on the dial so that I don't get them mixed up. I'm now removing the dial. There are two convenient places to prise the dial. These will be adjacent to the dial feet and they'll be opposite each other. This little gap is the first one. And the other is opposite. Gently prise the dial using a flat-bladed screwdriver, and the dial should come off quite easily. Place the dial on your workbench, safely out of the way of your tools. This watch was damaged by moisture ingress, and so there's a little bit of rust. I'm cleaning it off. This plastic part is the spacer between the dial and the movement. So here we have the new movement, and first of all we're going to replace the plastic spacer. And now we're ready to refit the dial. Now the dial just pushes on and is held by friction. I'm now turning the hands using the temporary winder so that I know where midnight is. I'll know that when the calendar changes over. Now with the winder still in the hand setting position, I'm going to replace the hands. And because I know the calendar just changed over, I know it's 12 o'clock midnight. And the tricky part is aligning the hands with the chapters on the dial. You might find that you have to remove the hand several times until you get it right. Now with all the hands back on, I need to make sure that none of the hands are actually touching each other. Run the hands all the way around for 12 hours to make sure the hour hand is not touching any of the subdial hands. And test and check to make sure the calendar is indeed turning over at midnight, give or take 5 or 10 minutes. Now making sure that there's no dust inside the watch glass and no dust on the dial, we're ready to replace the movement back into the watch case. And we can use the original crowns and stems as long as there's no rust or corrosion on them. I'm now testing all the functions to make sure everything is in order. And everything seems fine, so this job is done. So this is my short video on how to replace a movement in a Seiko chronograph quartz watch. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching. See you next time.